The painting is based off the Korean War that took place between 1950 and 1953. The forces of North Korea and China went up against South Korea, the United States, and Canada, as well as many other nations. The war was over Korean unification on both sides and ended up in a stalemate for nearly 70 years. Over 4 to 5 million people died in the conflict, with 2 to 3 million of those being civilians both north and south.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about Pablo Picasso and his art, as well as the background of who he is and what he believes in. He was a Spanish artist born in Spain, but he grew up in France and spent most of his life in France. He was an open communist. He was openly communist. He was a member of the French Communist Party, for example, and he was widely renowned for his pieces of art. He's also credited with the co-creation of sculpting as a form of creating art, and his art pieces are actually widely renowned for the political connotations around them, especially the one being discussed in this PowerPoint.
Massacre of Korea is seen as Picasso's criticism of the American intervention in the Korean War. The painting depicts the 1950 Shincheon Massacre, an act of mass killing carried out by North Koreans, South Koreans, and American forces in the town of Shincheon, located in South Hwang Province, North Korea. The cause of the massacre is still unknown. The painting depicts innocent civilians being killed by anti-communist forces, the United States, who are against any communist views.
The Massacre of Korea is effective in achieving purpose on the piece. Picasso, as a communist, opposed the U.S. involvement in Korean War, but he himself did not clarify who the massacres and those being slaughtered were. This painting, which seems to be influenced by Goya and Monet, has not been declared as specific events, and depict one scene of tragic massacre. So the painting may be viewed as a criticism of massacres and the modern wars and weapons that made it possible. In addition, comparing to his previous painting, Guernica, massacred civilians and armed soldiers were intuitively arranged to the left and right, respectively. Through this, people can more easily feel the terror of terrified women and children's face and the ruthlessness of machine-like butcher. Therefore, I think this piece have effectively achieved its purpose.
When analyzing this piece by Pablo Picasso using the 8 aesthetic principles, one can argue that it is in fact good art. When it comes to the first aesthetic principle, it does in fact teach something true, as it is a depiction of the Korean War and the civilians that were massacred during that time. When it comes to the second aesthetic principle, it does reflect Picasso's values and culture, as he was a communist, and this piece could be interpreted as defending communist regimes and criticizing anti-communist forces. With the third aesthetic principle, this piece could theoretically lead to social change and anti-war activism, as it highlights the innocent civilian casualties that can be brought on through war. This piece, however, does not necessarily elicit pleasure, as it is a somewhat grotesque and somber piece of art that depicts death. Therefore, it is not valuable in the sense of the fourth aesthetic principle. When it comes to the fifth aesthetic principle, this piece initially elicits a feeling of disgust and pain, which is not necessarily a feeling many people want to experience. However, when consuming art, it could be viewed as welcoming. This piece, however, does not elicit a feeling of autonomy or a willing suspension of disbelief, so when it comes to aesthetic principle number 6, it is not valuable. In the case of number 7, this piece is not valuable in the sense of beauty and unity. However, it is well organized and a striking piece to look at, so depending on what one values, it can or cannot be good. With number 8, this piece can be beautiful to some and grotesque to others, therefore it's a matter of subjectiveness and is in fact aesthetically valuable.